Hello, hello, and welcome to Third Shot Rants with Howard and Gina. I'm Gina. Hi, Howard.
Hi, Gina.
And we're two pickleball friends living in Chicago. Hi, all. Thanks for listening. This has been so much fun for us. If you're enjoying the podcast, please follow and like us on the platform that you use.
Yeah, so I think we have spammed a little bit some of the team reaches and other channels that we're on. We may take the liberty of doing that maybe another time or two, but we're not going to do it constantly. So if you want to get our episodes, and I hope you do, the best thing is to follow us on Apple or on Spotify, and that way every time we release a new episode, it will automatically get into your app and onto your phone. So Gina, what's this episode about?
Howard, today we are talking about targeting during pickleball games. What is targeting, Howard?
I think it's normally pretty obvious when it's happening. So if one player on the other team who is probably perceived to be the weaker player is getting the vast majority of the ball, so almost every ball is going to that player from the other side because they think that's the weaker player that they want to target and they think they have a better chance of winning by just hitting to that player, that's what targeting is. I think we've all seen it from time to time. Whether it's appropriate or not, I think depends on the situation. We're going to kind of run through the different kind of scenarios where different kinds of play occur and talk about whether targeting is okay or not. And I think we're going to go from kind of the least competitive to the most competitive. So let's start with open play, with rec play, and games that involve people of different levels, and sometimes you might have a game where someone is a relative beginner in the group. What do we think about targeting that situation, Gina?
That to me, it seems like just a no. Like, let's be welcoming. Let's be kind. Let's make sure everyone's getting a chance to hit the ball. What do you think, Howard?
Exactly. I think it's both. I think you hit the points. It's both because you want to be welcoming to new players or weaker players that are just starting out, but it's also because everyone's there to play, get some exercise, and have fun. And it's not fun to have the ball pelted at you constantly, and it's not fun to be the other player who doesn't get to hit the ball at all. Neither of those two things are fun. And I really think it should be a no-brainer that targeting in a casual open play situation is just wrong. So it seems like it should be straightforward to say no one should ever do it. On the other hand, it definitely happens, right? So I started to play a little bit with my son Henry, and he's a pretty solid player, but he's very much a beginner player. So he's played a few times now, but we were starting out over the last few weeks, and I would say the first couple of sessions went really well. I went to places where I knew some of the people. Everyone was very kind. Everyone was very friendly, very supportive. Most of the time I played with him, but sometimes we'd mix and he'd play with someone else, and everyone was just so kind and supportive and friendly, and treating him great. And those were great experiences. But then once he was a little more experienced, we would go places where I didn't necessarily know the people, and he got targeted. Like, that might have been his third or fourth time out, and he can hit the ball a little bit, but if you look at him, it's very obvious he's a beginner. If you know how to play pickleball, you can tell based on how someone is positioning themselves on the court, and he's maybe not fully sure of how to call the score or where he's supposed to be, and it's pretty obvious. And in games where you wouldn't think anyone should be targeting him, they were. It was a little mind-boggling to me, honestly, Gina.
Yeah, that's tough.
There's one game where, so I'm playing with Henry, and then on the other side, there's a guy who is not really good, but semi good, and he could hit the ball hard and fairly consistently hard within the court. And his partner was not as good, and I was taking it super easy. We're just playing a casual game in my mind. The score was maybe something like 4-4, 5-5, and I was not hitting it hard or hitting difficult shots to the other side. I thought we were just playing kind of a casual rec game. And the guy on the other side kind of realizes Henry's less experienced, and I guess it was really important for him to get that win in this open casual rec play game. And he hits everything to Henry, every single ball. I just started counting. At one point, I got up to 8, 9, 10 consecutive shots. His partner was not targeting as much, but he was really intensely competitive, and he was taking a lot of the balls from his partner and hitting them all at Henry.
Yeah, that just seems like too much.
Yeah, it's not a fun experience, and I don't, I'm just mystified. I don't know what this guy gets out of beating someone who's a beginner player. And as it turns out, the happy end of the story, Gina, is that he didn't actually beat us, because every time I got a chance to hit the ball, I would hit it very hard at him, and he wasn't, he was okay, but he wasn't really that good. And we ended up pulling out that match. But it just, it should be a no-brainer that you're not targeting people who are just starting out at pickleball, but it's not, and it's unfortunate. That, Gina, I think, is our third shot rant for this episode.
It's a good one too. I appreciate you telling that story. Having Henry being brand new to the game, it's kind of exciting that he wants to play now, and so we want him to have good experiences. But Howard, what if it's Tuesday night at 8:15 p.m. and it's past my bedtime and I'm at open play? Can I try to speed this game up with some targeting, or no? Is that
Well, anything you can do to encourage him to come up the net would be great. So I do think if someone's back when they're supposed to be up, it's probably, and even if they're a beginner player, it's probably okay. Don't absolutely crush it at him, but hit it to him to kind of show that he should be up at the net. I think that's probably appropriate.
That's a great learning opportunity.
Yeah.
Excellent.
But I will say pickle has been great for us. It sort of illustrates how accessible a game it is. So Henry's really pretty solid now. I feel like he could beat some of our friends in singles, as I've told you. Because he runs like crazy all over the court. But also, it was easy to get into the game early on for him. It's an accessible game. He could get in as long as people weren't being crazy playing against him. He could hit shots. He could play a real game, and that's something I don't think you can remotely do with tennis or other racket sports like that. But it was just an easy game to get in, and we're having a ton of fun.
It's so fun. You really just have to take the plunge, and you can be in. There's not a ton of barriers to entry. Yeah,
but if the only scenario we faced was to go to open play and have him get targeted all the time, I'm not sure we would do it, because that's not a fun experience.
Makes sense.
How about, Gina, so that was open play with beginners, or maybe really kind of pretty uneven matchups on the other side. What about more? Let's say we're still in rec play, still in open play, but it's a more competitive game. What do we think about targeting in that kind of scenario?
I guess I am unbothered by losses in rec play. It's not something that I'm keeping track of or counting. Like, at the end of the day, I don't feel good or bad about my game based on my win and loss count, but rather maybe just decisions that I made or didn't make. And I think other things are more important. So for me, I would still say maybe it's more appropriate, but it's still not necessary. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't do it myself. It doesn't, as you say, who cares what happens in a rec game at open play? But you do know there are people who care a lot about that. And I think those are the people who would target. I think I mentioned on past episodes that I often play with Susie, who is a friend of the pod. And sometimes for open play, we go to places like the suburbs where we don't really know the people, and people will target her. I think just because she's a woman, because she and I, we're pretty similar levels, and if anything, she's probably stronger at the net than I am, which is where most of the targeting tends to happen. And people, especially guys on the other side, they will target her. It's not effective against her, because if they're going out of their way to hit to her when it doesn't otherwise strategically make sense to hit to her, they're going to suffer the consequences. But it really does happen a lot, because people are very intense. Some people are very intense about trying to win games at open play.
We're getting too intense.
Yeah, because it's just pickleball.
Is it just pickleball? No, I've got a similar experience from a ladder open play that I went to at Piccadilly, like when they first opened. So it's probably early spring this year. And in this scenario, you're changing partners every game, and I don't know anyone here that night. And I'm playing with a guy who's kind of decent, and we're playing against two men. And the ball keeps coming to me, and I keep putting it away. Then my partner says something to me like, "I wonder why they keep hitting it to you when you're the stronger player." And I kind of have to give him that look of like, "Oh, it's because I'm the woman." Like, it's just something that happens. Like, I kind of expect it, especially if I'm playing with people I don't know. So it doesn't really bother me. Like, I kind of find it a little funny, and now it's like fun for me to be like, "Oh, after like 2 putaways, you should be done targeting me," and like something should be clicking that something isn't working if it just continues, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not a sensible strategy in your case. It's probably a sexist strategy in your case, and for people targeting Susie. But it also, why get that crazy about open play? I think that's where you and I are more or less on the same page. I think on the same page, and there are lots of other people who are not. That may be a little bit of maybe we'll do a full rant about that some other time, but it manifests itself in this scenario where people want to target because it's so important to get that win. The one thing, when I'm in open play, I feel like the other people, both people on the other side, they're there to play, and they both should get to hit the ball. So I tend to spread the ball out between the two sides. And I think I try to avoid the temptation. Sometimes I'd almost rather hit the ball to the stronger player, because at least you'll get the ball back and you'll be able to play some points and play some rallies. But the weaker player's there to play too, and they're there to improve, and they're there to practice their game. And so they should get to hit the ball too. There was a story I have from a recent experience where Susie and I are playing a couple of guys on the other side, and I will say, most of the problems tend to be from guys on the other side. That seems to be what happens. And this one guy was just being a jackass to his partner. So he probably was a little stronger than his partner, but anytime his partner would miss a shot, he would roll his eyes or make some other kind of gesture that made it clear he was so disappointed in his partner. And then Susan and I just resolved, like, we're just going to hit every freaking ball at this jackass. And if he loses, and he did, if he loses, it's going to be because he couldn't handle the points, not because anything his partner did or anything he wants to complain about with his partner. And it's I think that kind of targeting I enjoyed, but I wouldn't normally do, but this guy was just crazy.
Yeah, so we're talking about the greater good here. So we lift our partners up. We just talked about that on our last episode. So the fact that y'all like identified, oh, this guy's being a jerk, let's go after him. I'm all in for that, 100%.
Yeah. He really did deserve it. Moving on a little bit, Gina, to what if we have a closed group situation where it's an invite-only group. So someone has put together a group to play a set of games. What about targeting in that kind of scenario?
Yeah, I think it's going to depend on the vibe of the group. Is someone prepping for a tournament? Are we all kind of craving that high level game? I don't know. I'm still not like a huge fan of targeting in this scenario at all. It doesn't really. I don't know that it like makes me feel good to win in these games either. They might be a higher level and like more evenly matched because it was organized, but I don't quite feel the need to go after people. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you sort of hit the nail on the head, which is what are the expectations of the people who showed up at the group? Is it a more friendly social group where you want to play really competitive pickleball, you want to play good games, and that's why you formed an invite group because you kind of want to level it at least a little bit. But some of those groups, I think it's a more friendly social experience versus trying to do absolutely everything you can to win your games. Have you been targeted in these kinds of groups, Gina?
Oh, Howard, have I? Okay, just kidding. It's not a prevalent issue, but one that comes to mind was December of last year. So this is when I'm coming back from that golf injury. I'd been out for probably about 6 weeks. I'm feeling my timing's a little off. Maybe everything feels a little bit off. And this was a closed group that you organized.
Yes.
And so there's someone in this group that I'm not really super familiar with. I'd say that we're acquaintances. And, at some point during the game, maybe I missed 2 points in a row. And then I see this person whisper to her partner. And then, of course, they both look at me and I know what's happening. It's coming to me, the next ball. So I'm just in my own head at this point. And I don't think I really had the mental toughness to pull myself up from that. Like, it just kind of felt like when it rained, it really poured. And it was not a fun night for me. I was not happy.
And we know, so it was a group I put together, so I knew all the people, and we also talked to the guy who was the partner of the person who wanted to target you, and he didn't enjoy it either. I think the vibe of most of the groups, really all of the groups I put together, it's competitive, but we want to have fun. We want to get some exercise. We want to play competitive games, but we're not the most intensely cutthroat people. And he was flummoxed. He said to me afterwards, I didn't know what to do. Like, this is not how I play the game. I want to kind of spread the ball around. I'm trying my best. I want to hit good shots, but I'm not trying to give the game away. But I don't want to just go after someone just to get a win in this, Saturday morning rec group that we've organized.
He was super kind to me after, and I definitely let him know, do not worry one bit. It's just going to be like that game. He didn't do anything that was out of question, I think.
Yeah. And I think again, it comes back to what the expectations are of people in the group. So the groups I tend to organize, they're not fully cutthroat groups. And no one's, for the most part, other than this one exception, no one's really planning on targeting people in the game. But if you want to play that kind of game, if you want to organize, if you want to set up a group of 8 and play round robin matches, and everyone who's joining that group, if they really want to replicate maybe a mini tournament, and we talked last episode about how maybe you don't want to spend the $150 or so to pay APP or someone else for a tournament that may not be well organized and may not be well attended. But let's say you could replicate a tournament for yourself. You could even probably play it on the same courts that the APP Chicago tournament was at. And you could decide, okay, we're going to just go at it fully, and we're gonna treat it like a tournament, and everything is fair game. And I think if everyone feels like that, if that's the vibe of the group going in, then that's fine. But everyone should be on the same page, because you may be the person who's going to be targeted in any particular match, and you should be prepared for that going in.
Yeah, that seems super fair. So it's going to be a little bit of maybe chatting about expectations going into it, and maybe self-correcting along the way if you notice that people aren't targeting anyone and you are, maybe, and realizing, oh, maybe I need to chill out. That's the plan.
Yes, if maybe that's a rule. If you're the only person who is targeting in a group play, then maybe you should think about whether that's the right group for you to be in, or the right strategy for that group. But if everyone's doing it, then that's totally fine.
I guess.
Yeah.
So Howard, I was targeted more recently this summer, maybe like within the last month, and this was a fun group. I'm playing against two ladies in their 60s, and they played tennis at Wisconsin, and they are super competitive ladies. I had just met one of them for the first time that day, so I don't actually know this person, but we hit it off right away, have a good rapport, and are having a good time throughout the day of playing. So at this point, my partner and I had already won two very close games against them, maybe like 12-10, 11-9. And so they wanted that third game. And at some point, I think I missed 2 or 3 shots in a row. So it just seems obvious that you have to keep coming at me until I'm able to like lift myself up from that situation. And so at one point, the server on the other side says, "You know where to go." And my partner and I just like start laughing, and she's like, "Gina, get ready." And I'm like, oh shit, like this is coming to me. Like all the third shots are coming right to me. So I was off my game. This was at the end of a really hot session. It was like 90 plus, high humidity. I am drained. I just had to take that one like a champ of like, you know what, you're exactly right. Go for me, because I am slow in reacting right now. I'm not making good choices. But my mental game, I think, is just stronger now anyway, and so I can have a little fun with it. Like now I'm in my head, I'm like, do it, hit it to me. I want the ball. Give it to me. Like it's more fun.
Yeah, exactly. What about maybe not targeting a player? Is it okay to, let's say someone can't handle a particular kind of shot, and let's say we're in this kind of invite closed group play. Is it okay to just keep on hitting? Someone can't handle a drive, or someone can handle a drop to their backhand. Can you just keep on hitting that shot over and over again to that person?
That's a good question, Howard. That one feels so specific to me that it does feel fair game. So if I see a return backhand, like maybe goes into the net, I'm gonna like that next ball is gonna go to their backhand. Like that's just kind of like, yeah, like it just kind of makes sense. It's like it's the answers maybe given to me in that point. I don't know. Yeah, so I think that seems fair game because it's more specific than just going after that person for the sake of going after that person, but you're going after a really specific weakness. So, what do you think? How do you feel?
I think it's okay within reason.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get a sense. So some people, I hit a weird kind of slicey return a serve, and some people have trouble with it. And some people just they want to basically drill that. They'll say, "Hey, hit that to me again." I'm like, "Okay, I'll hit that to you again." And sometimes they figure it out, and sometimes they don't. But if you see someone, if it's a lopsided game, and you see someone kind of not feel great about themselves if they've missed 2 or 3 shots, then maybe you ease up a little bit. But I think if it's a competitive game and the other person is into the challenge of trying to figure out how to deal with that shot, then I think that's totally good.
Yeah, it seems super reasonable. And I guess with everything, it's within reason, right?
Yeah. Don't humiliate anyone. Don't make someone feel bad if you can avoid it. You don't need the pickle quite that bad.
Mm-hmm.
We sometimes talk, Gina. So, if we're playing, we're up 5-0, 6-0, I'll ask you, is it okay to pickle them? It depends.
It does depend. I mean, yeah, it's when the pickle's on the line, I say just like go for it. Just finish the job. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think as long as the people on the other side are worth pickling.
Yeah.
Right? If they're not worth pickling, then take it easy and see what happens. Don't give up a point, but give them a chance to do something.
That's very reasonable, Howard.
Okay, let's say, Gina, now we're into more competitive play, like let's say league play. What about targeting in that scenario?
Yeah, so I think in leagues, we are talking about something that's inherently more competitive. So there's an assumption that scores are being kept. Perhaps these are being duper recorded. I think if there's some sort of organized league, that we should assume that targeting is going to happen. And so, yeah, I think that going into those games with that mentality of like, hey, they might be going after me today, and that's fair game. We're playing in a competitive league, and that's something that might happen. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think it comes back to expectations. And I think if you're signing up for a league, and we can talk about whether there might be a less competitive league of some kind, but generally, if you're playing a league, it's because you want to compete and you want to test yourself, and everything, I think, is fair game. So I've mentioned Susie, and we've played in a handful of leagues together, and she does. Again, I think it's a little sexist, especially because she's very good at the net, but she does get targeted in those scenarios, and neither of us have a problem with it. I think it's completely fine if you've entered the league and you're seeking to compete in those games. And I mean, it helps that I don't think it's particularly effective in this case because she's great at the net, and it's not an effective strategy if people are going out of their way to target her. But I think there's nothing wrong with it. I don't know how to draw the line and say you can compete really hard in this league, but this one strategy of hitting to the weaker players is going to be taken away from you.
Yeah, that's super fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, it matters like who you partner up with too, and so every leagues can be what we make them. So is there an idea that leagues, there's like recreational style leagues that people can play in?
Maybe. I mean, but I think so. There are park district sessions in Chicago that have a league component to them, or called leagues, and they tend not to be leveled in any way whatsoever. And then I think you maybe have to be a little more careful. So I would go back to saying, don't humiliate anyone on the court, right? There's no need for it. And if you're way better than they are, you're way better than they are. And I'm not saying you have to give up a point, but don't absolutely go all out to target. Let's say there's one clearly weaker play on the other side. It's okay to win 11-1, 11-2 rather than to pickle them. Yeah, don't go crazy.
Yeah, let's not ruin anyone's day. Let's keep it, I don't know, somewhat friendly, even in a competitive environment.
Yeah. But I do think if it's a league that has a level, if it's, whether it's a 3-0, 3-5, 4-0 plus league, if there's a level attached to it, so everyone shows up, should be thinking about whether it's appropriate level for them. If they've chosen to join that league and play at that level, then they're saying, I think I belong in games at this level, and they may end up being the weaker player on their team or be perceived as such. And then I think I don't know a way to draw the line to say I'm going to take away that competitive strategy, especially in games where it's not a blowout. As I said, if it's a massive blowout, maybe don't target every ball at that weaker player. But if it's a competitive game, then yeah, I don't know how to do it any other way.
Yeah, it's hard to draw a line in that situation. So yeah, it seems like fair game. I agree with you.
Okay, last, Gina, tournaments. I think that's pretty clear cut. That's probably the most competitive situation. And if targeting is okay in league play, I think it has to be okay in tournament play.
Yeah. Not really any debate there. If you're playing in a tournament, I think it's just expected that the weaker player is going to be expecting to get 60% or more of the balls for every game. So yeah, my friend Mary H and I recently played in a 4-0 plus women's tournament at the new Wheaton Pickler. So it was a great field of ladies, very high level play. The format was 1 game to 11, so that to me feels very fast, and it's regular scoring. So our process was basically like within the first 2 points, we wanted to have an agreement of who the weaker player was, and they were going to be getting most of those balls. So it's a quick decision. That's what we're looking for right away, like in all these games, because going to 11 can happen, in the blink of an eye. So, we were just looking for unforced errors or anyone like looking maybe uncomfortable or always testing the middle, get them kind of chirping at each other and see like who's maybe putting their paddle where it doesn't belong. So we went 6-0 up into the finals, and I was kind of left thinking about this after our finals match that we lost. At some point in that day, I had decided like which player was stronger, probably after less than 1 minute of watching them warm up. And so I had made the incorrect decision, and I was unable to make an in-game adjustment, and that game went so fast. I had to really kind of like reflect on that after of, okay, so I thought this person was better, and then I got new information, and I was unable to make a change that would actually, kind of help us. So that's, just something.
Did you guys talk about it at all during as the game went on? Did you talk about, were you still trying to target who you decided to target going in?
Honestly, like that game was so hard. This woman is probably a 5.0 by now, but I don't, it went so fast. I don't recall that we really even had a game plan. I think it was like, let's try to get as many points off of them. And that's really me. Like that's my game plan. I'm not sure that we had like a really cohesive plan going in. It's just really tough. They're a lot younger than us and very, very good players. So kudos to them.
Yeah, you shared the video with me, and that one was terrifying. So
I think I like kept hitting it to her backhand, and she would whip it by me, and I'm like, why don't I do it again? And then I did, and I'm like, and then it happened again, and I'm like, okay, so I'm not adjusting, I'm not making good choices at all. It was tough. It left me just with a lot to think about, like moving forward for the next tournament, and I'll be better about it.
Tournaments, you should target better, Gina. Target better.
Jeez Louise, yeah. So make adjustments, be smart, see what information you're given during that match, and then decide. So watching someone warm up and looking really good does not mean that they're the better player. That's my bad.
Yeah, makes sense. Moving on a little bit from targeting to, what about body bagging? So, hitting the ball, kind of deliberately hitting the ball at the body of a player on the other side. What do you think about that?
Are we talking in rec play or tournament play?
Yeah, I think in rec play that it shouldn't happen. That doesn't seem right. But what about, let's say we're talking about tournament play, mm-hmm. or tournament or league play, or something pretty competitive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those things that I would say I don't like, but it's a legitimate strategy. Like a person standing at the kitchen is quite a large target on a small court. So I think we should expect for it to happen and try to like react better next time. It's not like fun to get hit by the ball. Like sometimes it can really hurt, and other times you're like, it's just a wiffle ball, no big deal. But the ball's traveling faster and faster as we get better. So it can tear us down a little bit in tournament play. What do you think? Are you body bagging out here, Howard?
I don't. I don't really ever play in super competitive scenarios, I think. But we were joking at the end of last episode about your teaching a body bagging class.
I got a few texts about that, so we're gonna see.
That could be a whole lucrative line of business for you, Gina.
Oh my gosh!
But have you ever coached someone to do a little light body bagging?
So only one time. And it was fairly recently. It was in August. And there was a situation where I'm coaching some guys in 4-5 men's doubles. And the guy I'm coaching maybe is not that level. Maybe he's a little lower and isn't quite ready for that level of play. But he can hit the ball so hard. That was the hardest serve I've ever had to return, was drilling with him. And yeah, it was terrifying to be on the other side of it. So I think in about a year he's going to be at that level, but right now he just quite wasn't. And so
so Gina, that's the player you taught how to body bag? the guy who hits it so hard?
Well, Howard, let me finish. So everything was sailing out, and at the 4 or 5 level, people are pretty good at court awareness and know when to let that ball go. So he had more power than he really could control at that point. And so my advice to him was aim for the other people's torsos, because let's try to get at least a few points here, because everything is sailing out, and fighting fire with fire sometimes just it leads to some chaos. So that was the only time. I can't imagine situations coming up again where that's happening. So it was interesting to have happen, but when nothing is going our way and everything's sailing out, and these guys are, they're not low level rec players who are hitting a ton of out balls. They are letting things go that are an inch out, and these balls are going to be 4 feet out. So it was the only, I think, way to even stay in the game.
So Gina, should there be any attempt to kind of legislate against body bagging?
That's a good question. So I guess so we're talking about the body area, right? Below the shoulders.
Right. So there's a rule against hitting above the shoulders in PPA and MLP, correct?
So that is something that happened this year, is that the UPAA, which is the governing body of those two leagues, they came out with a rule regarding reckless targeting. So that's anything specifically targeted at the head and neck area. And this came after a video went quite viral of Ben Johns sending a warning shot at QD. And we'll be sure to add that one to the notes, that video, because it's alarming how hard he hit that ball at someone's face. So I am glad that that league has taken a step at saying, no, we're not doing that. That's really, really dangerous. So in terms of body bagging in general, I mean, this is a question that Jill Braverman asked after, I think it was her semifinals match last week, right? So at the APP, Megan Fudge and Jill Braverman were pretty outwardly bothered by how often they were being, body bagged. So the ball hitting their bodies. And
most or maybe all of them were to the body and not to the head. Yeah.
Yeah. So they were below the shoulders, and it did seem to be that main strategy of the opponent. So I mean, I'm left wondering about this. If we did this, I wouldn't have any friends left. But this is their job. Their salary depends on winning these matches. So putting a limit in professional play, I mean, are you saying you get 3 free tags and then you can't hit the body anymore, or what do we think?
Right. I mean, that doesn't really seem to make sense as a rule, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think when you're in that 100%, more than 100% competitive scenario, these are pro players. This is how, as you said, this is how they make their living. It seems impossible to tell them you can't do something that is permitted under the rules.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could think about maybe changing the rules. So you could certainly. I don't think the APP has a rule against headhunting, which is not what was going on in that match. But APP, they could have a rule against that, and maybe they should. You could also think about modifying the rule a little bit to maybe go a little lower than sort of the neck and above. So maybe you could have a rule that's kind of chest and above, which becomes harder to enforce and to monitor. But you could try to do something like that if you don't like what the game looks like when there's a lot of body bagging. But maybe you're okay with that in terms of how the game's played.
Yeah, it was a tough match to watch just because it did happen probably at least 5 times, right? Like in one game. Yeah, I think you're right there that like we can't really police it. I think that there's ways to adjust. Like maybe you have to take a half step off the kitchen line and give yourself a tiny bit of reaction. More time to react to those balls coming straight at you. I think pickleball presents a unique challenge too in that this court is very small. It's very narrow. It's only 20 feet wide. And so when you have two grown adults at the kitchen line with, let's say, I don't know, 5 to 6 feet of wingspan, you can cover a good chunk of it. And so your options are hitting like a super tight angle that could be a 50-50 shot, or you go right at the person and maybe that's a higher probability shot. So when you think about the geometry of like the court and the size of a human being on a tiny court, it does actually like make sense that it's a good target to have at the professional level.
Yeah.
So the game is changing. It's getting so fast. So it's I think to be expected at that level for sure. And I don't think it'll be going away anytime soon.
Yeah, I think if it's effective, let's say people do try to make adjustments like you're talking about in response to it, but let's say it remains fundamentally effective, then you're going to see it because the pros are in there and they're playing for their livelihoods, and they're going to take every advantage they can get. I do think you can think about whether you want to try to legislate against it. It would be a little difficult perhaps, but if you don't like how the game looks like, if there's a lot of body bagging, then you could try to enforce a rule that maybe goes a little lower than the shoulders. Okay, I think that's it for our targeting and our detour into body bagging in this episode. We're gonna talk about what we're gonna call Coach's Corner now. We're gonna talk to Gina, who's a coach. If you haven't listened to prior episodes, Gina's a coach, and we're going to get some insights from her on coaching. So Gina, can you tell us a bit about what lessons are like, maybe a recent lesson, type of lesson that you've done, something you think might be interesting to listeners?
Yeah, I love to get requests from people of, maybe we're just doing a general class, like, hey, what do we want to work on today? Or what's been bugging us? Or what are we thinking about in our games? And so one thing that came up recently was hitting the offensive lob. Someone had asked, hey, how do we do this? Can we practice it? And, that's not really a shot that I use. I used to hit a topspin lob from the baseline, but that's also when I was playing a different version of pickleball where I really wasn't coming in. So yeah, like introducing this shot, I had to do a little bit of research. So I went on Insta and like I'm finding some videos, and then how would I make you go to the park and drill with me? So we have to, I think we dinked back and forth like 4 times, and then you raise your paddle straight up, and I have to hit an offensive lob from the kitchen line over your paddle. That's how I kind of know that I have the clearance that I need. That I'm not going to get an overhead and have to, dig that or deal with the body bagging that I'm setting myself up for. So that's kind of like my process for it is like, okay, well, let me find some ideas. Let me drill this and figure out like what works. I had to definitely remind this class, like, do not lob if you want to keep your friends. Like, you can lob a couple times, like, but be careful. Like, when we get into that, like, over and over and over and over again, people will be like, no, I don't want to play today. I'm good.
Gina, that's a dangerous lesson to be teaching your intermediate class.
Listen, I liked it, and we'll put it in the show notes. I had a nice little clip. I decided to implement it in one of my games recently, and it's a fun shot because it's very, very well disguised as a dink, and you're just popping it right into that corner. It's like almost as simple as it seems, but I think that it's a great shot to just keep in your back pocket, right? I want to show them, I might lob you. and just keep them on their toes. Anytime that we're able to just add another shot to our arsenal is going to make us just more competitive in every level of play.
I feel like it's maybe a little bit like a nuclear weapon, Gina. That if people can't handle lobs and people just start lobbing each other over and over again, it could just devolve.
Oh goodness!
So,
Howard, are you a lobber at all?
I used to never lob, and then at some point I started hitting some lobs, and then every ball I would come upon, I was like, oh, I could lob this. I just it was so annoying. I'm just lucky to have escaped that phase and still have friends who will play with me.
Yeah, we still love you, Howard. I don't know if I was actually there for that, but no, that's funny.
I think you missed that.
Yeah.
So sometimes I play there's a place called Gulf View Recreation Center. It's up in Niles, just north of Chicago. And it's a great facility. It's a Niles Park District facility. It's on a gym floor, but it's cheap. It's $4 or $5 to get in. It's open from 6 or 7 in the morning until 2 or 3 in the afternoon. You pay your fee and you can just be there the whole time. And it attracts some very good players, but it also attracts a solid retiree crowd. Some of whom are great players, but some of whom they're just there to get a little exercise, and it's fantastic. They maybe bring a snack, they play some games, they chat with their friends, they have a snack, and they play some more games. It's a great environment. It's a great place for people to get some exercise. But I tell you, Gina, the old people there, they will just lob the crap out of each other. They'll just start lobbing each other mercilessly. And some of them, most of them can't get back on the ball at all. They probably don't have an overhead, and they can't really run back to get the ball. And you sometimes see these lob battles break out in these games, and that's what anyone hits. So if you're interested in lessons from Gina, you should email her at gtpicklecoach@gmail.com. That's gtpicklecoach@gmail.com. That, along with other information, is going to be in our show notes. As I've said on past episodes, I'm a Carbon Paddle ambassador. I have a discount code. It's Carbon10, CRBN And I have a little news. There's a new gen carbon paddle that's coming out very soon. The release date is going to be in a couple of weeks. I believe I'm going to get a paddle. This is the TruFoam Waves paddle that's coming out. I believe I'm going to get a paddle probably next week sometime. And if you see me, if you know me on the courts, if you see me and you're a listener to the pod, and if you can maybe answer a basic question about what we've talked about on the pod, you can try out the paddle if you see me and I have it.
That's a nice offer.
You have to have listened, which you probably have if you've gotten this far into the episode. But I'm happy for you to try out the paddle. It's supposed to be super powerful. So I think it has the feel and the touch of the Carbon TruFoam Genesis paddle, which is the paddle that was released at the beginning of 2025. And this paddle, which is coming out, I think it's September 25th or 26th, it'll be available for sale. And I do have a discount code, but I think it takes all the attributes of the Genesis and adds a significant amount of more power to the paddle, which is great for your bodybagging classes, Gina.
I was gonna say, with paddle technology just improving by the day, bodybagging is going to become more painful. I'm excited to try that, Howard.
You got to answer some questions about the pod, Gina.
I know all the answers.
You do. You really do. As always, if you have questions or comments, please email us at thirdshotrants@gmail.com. We would love your feedback, and we're going to have an episode sometime where we go through some feedback and go through some follow-up of different topics we've already talked about and listen responses to that. So we're excited to get back to you on some of the things you've been emailing us about. Please, as Gina said at the beginning, please follow us. So we're not going to spam your channels forever in order to get the show please follow us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you listen, and then the episodes will show up in your feed. And now that we're starting to get a significant audience, we are open for advertising offers, and if pickle companies want to send us stuff to review, we would love to do that.
Howard.
Gina, what's our sign off?
Oh my gosh, what is it? Oh, is it happy pickling? Oh my gosh.
Gina, we practiced this.
I guess I don't know all the answers. Shoot, you caught me off. I forgot, Okay.
I refer you, Gina, to the end of the last episode, the one we just recorded a week ago.
Happy pickling, Howard.
Happy pickling, Gina.